Welcome back. It's another edition of Driving Maul on Loud Radio. Sharky, good afternoon.
Hello, missed last week, but it's great to be back.
I think I missed last week as well.
Did you?
Or did I?
Maybe the week before.
No idea, can't remember.
It was so long ago.
Plenty to talk about. You are listening to Driving Maul on Loud Radio, where blokes judge rugby. But to start out, let's give a big shout out to the great PE lock Martin Groenewold, who provided us all with the most squeamish video of the year. Double leg break in the big grey derby, live on Supersport on Saturday. It's gone viral. He is famous. That should help ease the pain a tad.
No.
But
nothing will ease the pain of your leg looking like a Tetris block. Okay. I'm sorry.
But the one thing that did come out of it, he was interviewed on another internet radio station in the aftermath of that injury, and by all accounts, he's already signed with the Bulls.
No, not them again.
But he's at school. Are they allowed to do that? Has he let slip something that no one's fucking following up on?
I don't know. The Bulls have done it. We all know they do it. They do it to everyone. Province keep allowing it. I don't know. Whatever.
Time will tell. And we'll talk lots about what's going on with player movements in a little while. But, Super Rugby's winding up. Currie Cup's about to get going. European Rugby's about a month out. And then there's the small matter of the Rugby Championship. At the same time, Western Province Club Rugby is back in full flow. And since we last chatted, there have been a few results. Two of the more crucial... Well, the more crucial one, Hammy's beating Durban 26-13.
Yeah, I was at the game. It was quite a big result. I mean, Hammy's pulling 2 over the Community Cup guys from last year, and obviously they finished very close second or equal first with Marty's, but lost on points. So it was great. There were like pools of water on the field. It was pissing with rain. It was a fairly decent game. The Hammy's centres and backline kind of took it away from the guys, but the forwards had a lot of work to do.
Really, no.
Yeah,
I remember the weather. So
yeah, the weather wasn't great, and the guy who got man of the match escapes me. Hammy's boy, ex village guy. Funny enough, move over to the right side of the tracks, but he had a great game. One of the flankers.
But then there were more results again. That was 2 weeks ago, that result. But then this weekend, Hammy's didn't play, and Durban picked up a 25-24 victory over Vix. Marty's back in the fray with a 61-0 win, and UCT beating Belleville 22-10. What it has meant is that at the top of the table, Durban are actually sitting top, played 13 with 48 points. Hammies are second, played 12, 45 points, and then Marty's and UCT with 2 or 3 games in hands on each of them with a couple of, a few points adrift, which makes this weekend rather entertaining. Not this weekend, I lie. No, it is this weekend.
Yes, this weekend.
Because it's Durban Tygerberg, Helderberg Marty's, Hammy's Belhar, and Vix versus UCT. But the one to look forward to from our perspective is maybe a little Wednesday night sojourn down to the Green Mile to go and watch Hammy's take on UCT. That's
going to be an absolute cracker. I'm really going to make plans to go, and I know there's quite a interesting spice between the two clubs. I know when Hammy's won the league, they won it at UCT, and they were challenging for the league as well. So it's been a few years coming now. It's been boiling and simmering quite nicely. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, and that's 9 o'clock on the 7th, which I think is
next week
Wednesday. Yeah, 9 o'clock Wednesday, Green Mile UCT. That should be well worth the admission fee. Although
Hammy's mustn't slip up this weekend. Mustn't slip up this weekend against Belhar. They need to get full set of points out of that,
which they probably will. And Durban have got an interesting clash with Tygerberg because that one's...
Tygerberg have been throwing out a couple of interesting results. They beat SK. In fact, I think it was the only game they won was SK. They might have won one other, but they won that one quite well. So looking forward to... They do pick it up for the big games.
Right, on to rugby news. I mean, the only real competition worth talking about at the moment is the Super Rugby and the Playoff Promotion Challenge, so we'll get onto that in the latter part of the show. But we do have a bit of news that's been floating around. The breaking one that's come out today is it looks like Paul True's reign as the Sevens coach of the Boks, which has been over 8 years, may be coming to an end. He's being linked with positions in Kenya and the USA after his assistant Voyo Zankwa and academy head Neil Powell were given the team to take to the World Games in Colombia, and it looks like True's contract will not be renewed at the end of October. 8
Yeah.
years, 14 titles, 1 IRB World Series.
And average as well. We've had a couple of good. I don't know. I just think that the amount of time he's been there, I think we have been, we haven't been the greatest, and we've had a couple of good times. But then again, it is sevens, and it's pretty much the same as T20 cricket. 1 or 2 slip-ups, and you're 14 points down. So, but he's done well. I just think the other times he could have done a little bit better. Maybe I'm being a bit too hard ass.
No, I'm with you. I've had the same thought. Don't get me wrong, he's done a great job, but the team's been going nowhere for 2 or 3 seasons. And it's time for a fresh face, get somebody in there. Talking about coaches and appointments, John Plumtree, who we all thought is going to end up on Supersport alongside Mitch, has been seconded to the Irish Rugby Football Union as the forwards coach for the Irish national team.
I missed that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Indeed, which means Gert Small's floating around doing nothing.
Correct. Correct. He'll probably go straight to the Wallabies.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. That would make me nauseous.
Be careful, the Wallabies. Be careful.
And then coming out of just player injury news in terms of the Currie Cup, Francois Hoogaard and Stegman are out for the season, and Anthony Fainga's out for 6 months, so we won't see any of them in the Rugby Championship. Not that we've ever actually seen Deon Stegman in a Springbok jersey. He's been selected. Don't think I ever saw him.
I tell you, I was actually... It's going to be slightly controversial. I feel like I'm on one of those planes today. But... I was actually chatting to someone today about the fact that Hoogaard's not going to be available for the rest of the year. And he basically said to me, we don't really care about the Bulls, which I tend to agree with. We don't really care. The Bulls can also do without him for the Currie Cup, I believe. I think they've got enough depth and enough players. But I tell you where we could definitely use him is we could definitely use him in the Springbok squad. Because he does fill a couple of positions, and he makes a difference when he comes on at the right time, or if he starts and our boys start pulling it together. So I think he could be more of a loss for the Springboks than the Bulls, if that makes any sense.
Well, he wouldn't have been a loss for the Bulls because he wouldn't have been playing much in the Currie Cup if he'd been part of the box.
Get there towards the end.
Yeah.
And it's the rest of the year, so he'll miss the end of year tour. He won't be fit for that.
No, but hopefully he'll be back to his best because he has been off his game carrying this ankle injury for most of the season.
Maybe he's the rugby version of Anna Kournikova.
Can I come all over? The Canes, here's a lovely story, have been asked to repair their frosty relationship with Ma'anonu in an attempt to keep the 31-year-old All Black in New Zealand. 4 of the 5 franchises in the land of the long white cloud are not interested in his services.
It's not that they're not interested; they just blatantly said no.
Yeah.
Now the interesting
much like O'Connor in Australia.
Correct. Now the interesting thing for me is we've heard very little about. I mean, everyone's very adamant that he's a shit stirrer. Everyone in New Zealand is adamant, and we don't ever see it down here. We don't ever hear of it. We hear slight murmurs and
by
and
shit
stuff
stirrer,
like
do you mean poo jabber or troublemaker?
Troublemaker. James O'Connor's a shit stirrer. Anyway, sorry. But I haven't heard it. You know what I mean? He doesn't call shit like Kirkley Beale, and he doesn't get drunk and disorderly that we hear of, and he doesn't rob people and tackle triathletes and stuff like that. But I'm very interested to know why he's so disruptive and what's happening. I think I'm still a massive fan, and when he played for the All Blacks against the French, him and Conrad Smith were sort of rekindling past relationships, and it looked pretty decent. So maybe him back at the Canes not the worst idea.
Well, that's essentially where the New Zealand Rugby Union is going.
They're centre pairing their work, put them together.
And he's contracted in New Zealand. You're contracted to New Zealand, and
same as Australia, except South Africa because we haven't seen the light yet.
No, because no comment. Alan Solomons has indeed abandoned the Kings and is heading to Edinburgh. We got wind of the story a couple of weeks ago.
Don't be like abandoned. Don't be like that, bud. don't be a cock. He'll be heading up the coaching job at Edinburgh.
Indeed.
But do you think they'll get a point on the board in the first 2 Heineken Cup games?
Ek weet nie oom. But talking abandoning the Kings, a certain SA rugby-orientated magazine is claiming Waylon Murray, Jacques Engelbrecht, David Ballbrink and Bundy Sumako have signed contracts with the Bulls.
I knew. I'm sure we knew. I'm not sure about Murray, but I definitely knew Jacques Engelbrecht was being hunted quite hard by the Bulls. You look at the guy, you see what he can do with the ball in hand and how big he is and how quick he can run. It kind of fits straight into that mold. And let's be honest, Pierce is cuck.
Indeed.
And they lost a couple of guys. He'll slot straight into Super Rugby and into the Bull side.
Well, and Bandisu Marco, one black hooker for another black hooker.
There you go.
But yeah, they are replacing, because you look at what's leaving the Bulls, and this is just their Springboks. Never mind anything else that's disappeared. Jandre Kruger to Racing Metro, Jacques Potgieter to Fuck You Okay, Devil Potgieter to Yamaha in Japan, Chili Boy to Toulouse, Yano to Toulouse, Mornay Steyn to Stade Francais, Zane Kirshner to Leinster, and Wynand Olivier to Montpellier.
How Zane Kirshner gets signed by Leinster is still beyond me. But anyway, that's a story for another lifetime.
Yeah, no, it's weird.
They are losing. The thing is they're losing experience and quality in very key positions, and that I don't know. Just looking at that, like you said, that's just the Springboks. That's not the other guys that have been there for a few years and not made the box. But I mean, you could hurt yourself and spend 2 years recovering from that. But then again, they have signed the rest of South Africa, so hopefully they'll gel together. Well,
yes. On that note, Piet van Zyl has been lured from the Cheetahs to the Bulls on a 2-year deal
Signed
at the
and sealed.
end of the Currie Cup. A lot of talk that he was being hunted by Province and the Stormers. Not to be.
I'm very surprised that he's leaving the Cheetahs. I am. I think where the Cheetahs are going and what they've done this year, I think you could see fairly good things next year. I think it's in the same sort of vein as the Brumbies. They've picked it up. They're not as young, but they've picked it up and they're doing pretty well. It would be great to retain most of the players, if not all the players, for next year and see how they do.
Indeed, and I mean, it brings us to a point, because we also know that the Sharks have lost J.P. Peterson. Robert Everson's gone from the Cheetahs. Province / Stormers have lost to Banner Becker, Joe Peterson, Devil Duvenacher, and some breaking news from earlier today, which we'll get into after the break. But now we've got to start talking about Heineken Meyer and picking overseas-based players, because of the guys that have left, 7 of them were in the match day 23 of the last test that the Boks played.
It's a problem. It's a problem. We'll have to reevaluate that.
No, where do you draw the line in the sand? And they may get away with it from the fact that none of them have actually played for the new clubs yet, so they're still officially Super Rugby players during the Rugby Championship. But what the hell happens in November? Anyway, we'll keep a tight eye on that. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to have Marcel Brachy packing for Perth on the line to chat about the developments today that have seen him sign for the Force for Super Rugby for the next 2 seasons, I believe. Yeah, he's got a 2-year deal. Chris Heiberg with a 3-year deal. You're listening to Driving Maul on Loud Radio. We'll be back after a little bit of Aerosmith. Welcome back to Driving Maul on Loud Radio. Lots of rugby to talk about, and as we said, some transfer news. The Force have picked up Province / Stormers' Marcel Brachy and Chris Heiberg, a front ranker and a centre, heading to Perth to join C.S. Eberson. We're going to have a chat with Marcy now. I just want to get him on the line, and that's what I'm looking for. We'll get there.
Hello.
Marcel Brachy, it's you're speaking to Don and Sharky on Driving Maul. How are you, my boy?
How's it, Don? Sharks? Yeah, very well yourself, guys.
Good, man. Some interesting news coming out. I mean, we'd all kind of got wind that things were heading in that direction over the last month or so, but officially confirmed. You're packing for Perth, my boy.
Yeah. I did see that a person named Marcel Brachy is moving off to Perth. I wasn't sure if there was a second one in the city or what, but thanks for the congrats, guys. Looking forward to it, and
Now, what I wanted to say, I mean, you've signed a 2-year deal to go over there. Now, there's obviously been a lot of talk over the years in terms of them signing South Africans, where part of the contract being that they open themselves up to playing for Australia. Can we assume that based on the fact that you only signed a 2-year deal that you haven't gone that route?
I went with the 2 years just purely because I wasn't sure as to what was going to happen in terms of rugby for me after 2015, after the World Cup. So the 2 year deal sort of gives me the idea of, just seeing it towards 2015 and then from there, touching base and see what I can do after that. I think to sign a deal longer than that sort of just with, injuries on my side and whatnot, I'd be committing myself to, something that I'm not really sure about after that stage. So we'll see how things go after the 2 years, but really looking forward to until that stage.
And Marcy, congratulations from our side. What?
Thanks, Shock.
Pleasure, mate. How are we looking? You're going to stay for the Curry Cup and then you're off straight afterwards, or how's it working?
Yeah, Sharks. Look, I'm gonna honour the contract here that Western Province gave me last year, and that ends at the end of October, which will see me here in Cape Town with the Curry Cup up until that stage, which I'm looking forward to hopefully being a part of. So yeah, once that has been finished, then I'll be off to Perth as soon as the end of the Curry Cup season comes to an end.
How many mates you got over there? Because there's enough South Africans to start another country there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm lucky going over with Chris, who I know, obviously from UCT days and Western Province days, and I haven't officially chatted to Wilhelm about the actual move, but we have spoken before, and Wilhelm's a really top guy, and obviously CS I know from Curry Cup days, he's also a top guy. So apart from that, there's also Footy who I was lucky, Footy and Dave who I was lucky to work with at UCT. So a friendly face isn't too far away, even though I thought it would probably be about 1,000 kilometers away, but it's probably just around the corner, thankfully enough. So I'm looking forward to it, as I said, and excited to go about this journey with the guys that I mentioned as well.
Now, Marcy, just out of interest on that UCT link, I mean, how much of a role did Footy and Vessels play in this negotiation, or did it all come out of left field for you? Or
look, I mean, to be honest, guys, I never saw myself at any other union in South Africa. I think province for a lot of guys who are from Cape Town or whose parents or grandparents were associated with the union know that when you're blue and white, you're blue and white, and your province for a through and through. And I couldn't see myself playing anywhere else in the country. But that being said, Footy, he gave me one of the first people to give me a shot, in terms of rugby. I'm lucky to call rugby a profession. It's come a long way since the days of UCT internal league. So, Footy came to me and he offered me something, and he said it would be a great adventure, and I just thought to myself, realistically, I'm not going to be lighting up the field in terms of rugby for the Stormers. I hope that I've given, I honestly feel that I've given my all for Western Province, Vodacom Cup and Curry Cup. But I think we've got such a great depth in the centre department here that it's just a better option for me to look to go play rugby somewhere else, and look to just maybe try to play Super Rugby and test myself against the best in the world. So I fully came with it, and it took a week, but I eventually, I saw the light, and I decided, maybe Perth's a good change, it'd be a great adventure, and I hope that I can repay the faith that they showed in me by hopefully doing the job on the field.
No, awesome. We had a chat probably about a year ago, and you said you were still keen to play a lot more Super Rugby, and obviously that didn't happen this year, so it makes sense from that perspective. And at the same time, enjoy the ride. There's certainly two guys sitting here chatting to you that would have loved the opportunity to go and play some kind of pro rugby around the world. Never mind pro rugby in one of the top competitions in the world. So it's awesome, buddy. And good luck for the Curry Cup. And
thanks so much, Don.
Stay true to yourself, my boy. I've said it to you before. I think you're going to go far in life, and whatever you do, just based on the kind of person that you are and the way you treat people and react to things. So, from myself on Driving Maul and Loud Radio, we wish you all the best for next season's Curry Cup. Looking forward to seeing you smash a few tackles on some of the boys from Cape Town. And in the interim, good luck for the Curry Cup season.
Yeah, thanks so much, Don and Sharks, and thanks guys for for the support that you guys have given. Not only me but all the guys who we've had on the show, from Greemy to Jeb, obviously with Damien and whatnot. You guys have been top class supporters and top class guys to call mates, not only in terms of the media side but also outside of it, to go for a beer and whatnot. So thanks for your support, and I hope to chat on that side on the radio show. And Sharks is friendly misses on that side, so we'll hopefully convene at a coffee shop and have a nice radio chat on that side. But definitely see you before then.
Marcy, thanks, bud. And one thing, don't forget, the Australians serve their hamburgers with beetroot, so take it off because it tastes cuck. and the other thing is, any chance you'd be able to, you've got some time to pop into the Green Mile next Wednesday, because UCT are taking on the soon-to-be crowned champions, Hammies.
Jeez, I think that'll be a fantastic matchup. I think the boys from Greenpoint have a point to prove after we turned them over a couple months ago at Arts in Greenpoint. So it's I think both teams are still in with a good shot at the title this year. So hopefully all results go the way that Wednesday turns out to be a humdinger and a cracker of a game. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
awesome.
More importantly, Marcy, I'll see you at 12 o'clock at Bosch for Weinberg versus Ronda Bosch.
Yeah, that's also an absolute crackerjack. The boys from Weinberg have really picked up their clocks over the past few years.
Awesome.
So, thanks again, Nate. Don, Sharky, thanks, boys.
Marcy, all the best, bud. Have a great Curry Cup, and I'll see you soon, bud.
Thanks, see you soon. Cheers.
Marcel Brachy filling us in on what led to him packing for Perthfontein.
What a legend.
No, he is. He's a champ. And
We
really do wish him all the best. And like, honestly, one of the most genuine human beings I've ever met in my life. And so looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the party in Perth. And clearly that there's a direction that they're taking in Perth in terms of bringing in some skills and talent from outside of Australia. And they seem to be allowed to do it. And at the same time, also just good to hear that guys are signing 2-year deals and 3-year deals that don't invoke the whole playing for Australia thing. Although, as we know, Marcel Brachy qualifies to play for the United States of America.
Correct.
So don't be surprised to see him running around on the paddocks of England and Wales in 2015.
Yeah, I was quite happy to hear him say that he wants to see what's happening in terms of the World Cup, because that is a reality, and love to have Marcy playing in the World Cup. I think it would be absolutely brilliant. Awesome. Oh, in which case I'll run with it. What exactly are you doing? Where are we now?
Where we now is we are going to go to another break, because we may as well. And then when we come back, we're going to tear into the Super Rugby promotion relegation
And
playoff drama.
I told you a little bit off air, but I've been putting together a little Southern Hemisphere Lions side with a bit of crowdsourcing on Twitter.
I watched that take place on Twitter. It's been quite interesting to see.
We'll have a chat about that after.
Yeah, definitely. You're listening to Driving Maul on Loud Radio. We'll be back after a little bit of Pearl Jam Worldwide Suicide. Welcome back to Driving Maul on Loud Radio. Speak into the microphone, Don. Speak into the microphone. Right, let's talk a bit of Super Rugby history, really, Sharks.
Yes.
Because, albeit it's only really in South Africa that the history's being made, because no one else does it as yet. But the first ever Super Rugby promotion relegation playoff, involving the Kings defending their Super Rugby place versus the Lions looking to get their Super Rugby place back, basically fighting to finish bottom of the log next season.
Slightly controversial.
Lions went to PE and spoiled the party with a 26-19 win in a passionate yet average game of rugby on Friday. Biggest talking point has to be the ineptness of Jakub Paper, closely followed by Gavin Cowley and Bob Skinstad in the commentary box.
It wasn't a great display of reffing.
The whole thing was just nauseating.
Yeah.
Everything. It was just diabolical. There should have been red cards. There were off the ball hits. I mean, there haven't even been sightings on some of that shit.
Very interesting. I think I'm going to ruffle some more feathers. I was having a chat to mates of mine, and we were just discussing what is happening. And I got quite a few Lions supporters on Twitter, and they had obviously had a passionate word or two to say to me, and I completely understand that. But I think if it'll be bad for SA Rugby as a whole if the Lions go ahead and make this and win, which it looks likely. I think that they're losing a number of players. I think that they're guys that are not. They don't want to be there. The guys have gone and tasted other unions. They're definitely negotiating with other unions if they get an opportunity to go. I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening in the age group levels and stuff like that. I'm just a bit worried. I think that all this stuff and the plans have been put in place in the Kings for some time now, and they've been going forward. They've had a fairly decent. Well, they've had one of the best starts to Super Rugby that any side has had in their first year. Coming into the game, they got some good youngsters, and I just don't think it'll be good to take it away. But I was singing a different song a year ago, but I'm just a bit worried because I just hope the Lions can recover from what they lost. I think maybe that's where we should go.
Yeah, but let's be honest. The Kings ended with a points differential of minus 266. They scored the second least tries in the competition and conceded the most. Yes, they picked up 3 wins and a draw. Let's give them some credit where credit is due.
And they finished on the same points the Lions did last year.
But they've been playing hard-ass competitive rugby for 4 months, and they got beaten solidly by a Lions team that have been playing warm-up games with players playing all over the place. It's the first time many of them had played together in a while. But what it means is that at 2 tries apiece, the Kings need to win by 8 or score 4 tries or more and win without conceding 4 tries at a packed Ellis Park.
Yeah. Which
20 Rand a ticket. Can you imagine the carnage coming out of South Joburg for that one?
I'll tell you one thing, if there's any game worth going to watch, I think that could be one of them. It's going to be an absolute crackerjack. Looking forward to it, but having a look at what the Kings put out, maybe the nerves definitely got to them in the beginning. I think they settled it down afterwards, but they were also trying to play too much conservative style of rugby to just grind out and get the win. I think they need to be a little bit more expansive.
And the one thing we did learn out of that is that Dimitri should kick to the left and not pass. Because he set up a beautiful try with a cross kick and then threw an intercept. Yeah. A lot of talk coming out of the Twitter on the night about the potential of Stokkies Hanekom, who seems to have come from nowhere, and people are starting to bandy his name around as a future Springbok. I'm not 100% convinced yet from what I've seen, but
see, that's the issue that not playing Super Rugby brings. Is not unless you're watching the guy closely or you hear about him, will you watch him? And we've got to keep an eye on him. I also, before Saturday, was kind of in the dark.
Lions have named their side. The Kings have yet to let us know who's traipsing up to Joburg, although they have picked up a few injury concerns. But for the Lions, it's Ruan Combrink, Deon Helberg, Stokkies Hanekom and Des Fontaine in the centres, Anthony Fulmink, Elton Janchis, whose brother is running at fly half in Currie Cup training for the Bulls.
Yeah.
Ross Cronje, him and his brother Guy have made themselves available for Zimbabwe.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Warren Whiteley, Minnie, Jaco Kriel, Franco van der Merwe, Heinrich Ruud, Julian Redling says Martin Besaidenote, who was a bit of an angry hooker on Friday night. Jeez, he was in the thick of everything. JC Janssen van Rensburg, their bench is a bit thin. Robbie Kutsia, Ruan Dreyer, Willie Brits, Warwick Tecklenburg, Guy Cronje, Marnitz Boshoff and Chrisanda Botha, the Namibian fullback / winger. I think the Lions are going to give them a pumping.
I don't think they're going to get a pumping. I must be honest, I do think the Lions will win. It all depends on the first 15 minutes and see what the Kings have come out. They also might get to the point where they're like, listen, let's just play some rugby and let the forwards do the job. I think their forwards are capable of doing the business up front, and their backline is definitely exciting. Let's see what happens. If they can take their minds back to traveling to Australia and New Zealand and playing those games and getting a win there and getting a draw there, it's when they kind of play that style of rugby and that fight, they could win. Yeah,
and look, it's all to play for. But at the same time, they can't be too stable as a union in terms of the director of rugby's just announced he's pissing off to Edinburgh.
There's pissing off. Everyone comes and goes, but let's be honest.
That, but announcing the timing of that in the week of a crucial playoff game, I don't know if that's the best thing for stability. And then the news that 4 of their top players may well have been tracked down by the Bulls.
Propaganda!
There's talk of Katrakiles. Where's he going to be playing in Currie Cup? Because he obviously doesn't want to be playing B Division. So time will tell. On to Super Rugby proper. The right end of the table. Semis provided shocks for many, except the two of us.
That's right.
And I say the two of us because we both picked correctly on Super Brew, and our margins were picked up at the same time in both games. And I'll be honest, I mean, look, the Chiefs, the defending champions, there was no way they were going to just disappear off the face of the earth after the season they had last season, so they were always going to be up there. But I called it early on in the season. I said the Brumbies, to me, look like they've got everything in place to go and win the whole bang shoot. And I stand by that. I think that they are going to go to Hamilton and sneak a 1-point win this weekend.
Really, yeah?
But let's talk about the semis first. The Chiefs got up by 1 over the Satyrs in a repeat of the 2012 semi-final in Hamilton. 2019, the final score. Masaga with a well-worked try. Aaron Cruden with an intercept. But it had been all Crusaders in the first half. Israel Dag had scored a try. Carter was kicking penalties. But you know how good a team's defense is when Daniel Carter tries 3 drop kicks in a game and fails with all of them.
I think more importantly, we start looking less at the boring side of things, and we look at those 2 tries, and one came from Dag and one came from Masaga.
Yeah.
Dag, it was actually beyond me. When he picked up that ball, I think he picked it up in sort of the 12 channel, and he shifted around a prop, which you expect. But then he's stepping. Someone tweeted, I can't remember, it was one of the rugby players in the UK, tweeted and said, there's proof that Israel Dag's made of water. He surrounded the guy and basically handed off his own player, who was, I think it might have been Kieran Reid, handed him off to go over the line. Unbelievable try. Masaga, that guy, he is just an absolute beast stuck in a winger's body. So much power and
the strength, it was ridiculous. Eh?
Him and Rene Ranger, little guys, but they are so solid, and no one on God's green earth would want to go on a one-on-one tackle with them.
But Masaga makes Ranger look big.
Yeah, I know. And Masaga was in sensational form last year. He's been very quiet this year, and the Chiefs have been very quiet. The minute he sparks it up, boom.
Yeah. No, it was. And somebody tweeted, irrespective of who wins this one, New Zealand rugby is in good shape, was essentially what they were saying. Because you look at, like you say, the tries that were scored, but it wasn't to be for the Satyrs. The Chiefs are just too good at home, and their defense is that good.
Their defense is solid, and another thing is both the Brumbies and the Chiefs are 2 exciting sides with ball in hand. So we are in for an absolute cracker.
Look, we'll get on to the final now. Let's talk about the Brumbies, who went to Loftus. Jake White endearing himself further to Pretoria by masterminding an upset win for the Canberra side. But we have to point out that once again this season, a South African franchise has shot itself in both feet by not taking kickable penalties with the game in the balance. The Bulls turned down 3 kickable peanuts in the second half, which could well have taken the game away. Yes, you never know, because they could have restarted and the Brumbies could have gone downfield and scored. But at the same time, they opted to kick for the corner against one of the best lineouts in the competition and the leading lineout taker in the competition by a country mile, Ben Moan.
And then, once the ball goes to ground, you've got someone like George Smith to contest for the ball. It's quite a controversial decision when you've got someone like Morné Steyn who knocks him over in his sleep.
No sense. None whatsoever. JJ Engelbrecht with a well-worked try for the Bulls. Morné Steyn with 6 penalties. Jesse Mogg scored also a decent try. But
first minute, second minute?
Yeah. And
Great start to the game.
And then Kuradrani with the winner in the 78th minute. And, I mean... not controversial. They certainly asked the question about was it forward, but clearly not on all of the replays.
It never looked forward to me. It looked flat, and if it was going to be forward, it was going to be slight. But there was he was never passing it forwards. He was always passing it backwards, and it was just a flat line. I don't think there was any issue with that at all. And
then Christian Lealiafano with solid with the boot. He's going to probably end the season in second place in the overall points scoring, unless he scores 39 points in the final.
Yeah. Behind Morné Steyn.
Yeah. Behind Steyn. But what it means is the 2013 Super Rugby final sees the defending champions take on the 2-time winners, the Brumbies, in Hamilton. 2 seasons running, the Chiefs get to take on a side that's had to play rugby in Australia, South Africa and New Zealand in consecutive weeks. And Craig Ubert gets to referee another final in New Zealand.
The thing is I was actually thinking about this. The Sharks last year, the Sharks played in South Africa, played in Australia. Played in Australia. So they had to fly. They went to Australia. They played there. They played in South Africa and then went back to New Zealand. Where the Brumbies, when were they here last? A while ago in South Africa. So they've been in Oz. They flew here. Flying from Australia to South Africa to play is easy. Yeah, it's flying there. It's an issue. So technically,
they've done one less leg than the Sharks did,
but in the right direction. If you understand what I'm saying.
No,
so
absolutely.
It should be, I don't think it's going to affect them too much. And I tell you, these youngsters are up for it. Huh?
At the same time, the Brumbies came to South Africa, went back to Canberra and beat the Bulls, who'd been touring around New Zealand and Australia earlier in the Super Rugby season. And they've got this little factor called the Jake White factor. And I've had the privilege of listening to him speak live a couple of times in my days in the corporate world. Once before and once after the World Cup, and the self-belief in that man and the way he puts self-belief in his players, you can't fathom that the Brumbies will get as big a pasting as the Sharks got last year.
Jake White is all
and
about
the Chiefs aren't
balance.
The same side that they were last
year.
They
aren't, and they're also coming off quite a. Listen, they've been iffy the last few games, and they've won them though. But you know, I don't know. Jake White's got great balance. He understands how to balance his team out, and it was quite evident when he brought back two of the
and
unmentionables.
Played them in the knockout games.
Correct.
Because Rathbone's been on the bench for most of the season, and he's played the quarterfinal, semi-final. Will probably play the final. George Smith, he's bigging him up in the press all week, saying he's one of the greatest to ever play the game. The Chiefs have announced their side. They're unchanged, although there is a concern about Masaga. The Brumbies have yet to announce their side, but.
Well, Robbie Robinson will take over from Masaga's if he doesn't make it.
And Patrick Osborne will come in off the bench.
Yeah.
But just some stuff worth considering in terms of the final. The Chiefs have basically scored the most amount of tries and points in the for the season, despite having the least amount of possession out of the top half of the table. The Brumbies are the competition's highest percentage rate when it comes to retaining the ball at ruck time, so they don't offer turnover ball, which is what the Chiefs thrive on. And Cruden and Tamua are second and third in try assists and line break assists, right, between the two of them. George Smith and Sam Cane are second and third in pilfers, and Ben Moan is top of the line-out charts. So
that's some impressive statistics coming out of there, and these are guys that are all competing against each other for the final. So it's going to be good to see what happens there. I think, I don't know. It's going to be an absolute flippin' cracker.
I backed the Brumbies 3 weeks into the competition, and I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to say they're going to pick up a 1-point win in Hamilton. But everything inside of me says that the Chiefs have a huge advantage. But it's down to whether the Brumbies can not turn the ball over, and the one concern that they do have is that Stephen Moore is one of the highest turnovers of ball for the season in terms of knock-ons. So keep the ball away from him.
But he's been pretty solid. I was actually I ran a poll on my blog probably just before halfway through the season, and it's not seeming to load at the moment. But I basically said, where do you see the Brumbies finishing the 2013 season? Are they going to fizzle out? Are they going to be knocked out in the? Are they going to basically finish top and then get knocked out in the quarterfinals or the group stages, or they going to move on further from that? And if I'm not mistaken, 60%. Here we go. 43% of my voters said that they'd be losing finalists. 35% said they'd be champions, and 22% said they'd lose in the knockout stages, and no one said that they'd fizzle out. So it's been quite an interesting little thing to be watching. Obviously, now they wouldn't be voting on the knockout option, but it was quite fun to see, and a lot of those votes came through before the true season ended.
Indeed. Either way, 9:35 Saturday morning, it's going to be a little bit of a humdinger, because you try pick a winner. The only advantage, in my opinion, that the Chiefs have got is the travel factor for the Brumbies.
And the home factor.
And the home factor and the travel factor for the Brumbies.
The Brumbies didn't win in New Zealand this year either, I don't think. I don't think they won in New Zealand.
Interesting question. We will investigate that while we play a little bit of Death Cab for Cutie, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Sharky's Southern Hemisphere inverted colons Lions team. You're listening to Driving Maul on Loud Radio. We'll be back after this. No, that's not the mouse. That's the mouse. Welcome back to Driving Maul on Loud Radio. I must really apologise. That was just a little bit bleak. Brothers on a hotel bed.
What? Talk about
like some things just should stay on tour.
What is that phrase in the beginning I referred to a couple of guys as?
Yeah, exactly. Welcome back to Driving Maul on Loud Radio. The home stretch of the show, and Sharky, let's get into it, because you started a question about a Lions type side from the Southern Hemisphere to travel to the north
and beat them.
Well,
comfortably,
hands down. You could pick 3 sides that would beat them.
Yeah, I can't remember who I saw it from. Someone tweeted and said it would be a good idea, so I thought I'd sort of crowdsource a little bit and see who we would get. And the team is as follows, and I think I'll read out. And
this is based on votes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is basically all the guys that have responded, and this is what we've got in terms of numbers. And then you and I can chat, because I have a couple of changes I'd like to make as well, being the head coach and all, you know. Anyway, up front, the front row is Yanni du Plessis, Bismarck du Plessis, and Owen Franks.
Yeah, I'm quite keen on Ben Tamiaful now, to be honest.
I think he actually didn't get one vote from what I saw. And another thing which I found very interesting
6 tries in the season.
Yeah, the front rankers, the Wallabies got nothing, and that was just after they got a hiding as well. So I think the guys are a little bit spoiled. But I really believe Stephen Moore should be there. I think he's probably one of the best hookers in the Southern Hemisphere at the moment. I don't think the Kiwis have got anyone to shout and jump up and down about. Possibly someone to come off the bench, but starting, I would rather see Stephen Moore and then Bismarck coming in later.
Adrian Strauss, tough call to leave him out as well.
Yeah, Straussy was up there. He actually just missed out. He was 2 off Bismarck. So yeah. Locks are quite interesting. I had a draw, so we can decide who we want to get. But basically, at 4, it was between Etzebeth and Horwell, which was a no-brainer. We all saw that coming. Those were going to be the two front rows, and the 2 front runners for that position. And then it was almost 100% vote for Sam Whitelock at 5, which is obvious too.
Yes, Horwell, Etzebeth.
That is a tough one, because they both offer different things to the game.
Yeah, it's down to where your leadership comes in the side.
Correct. And that was...
Okay, well, let's come back to that one, because my inkling is to go with Etzebeth, but I need to know who the skipper is in the side.
Number 7 would be the skipper. Anyway, so the loose forwards are as follows. Francois Lowe, Richie McCaw, and Kieran Reid.
I thought we were picking players that had played this season.
That was a Southern Hemisphere side. McCall was always in the squad, and he has played, and he is eligible to play in the final if they were in, etc. So I've let that one go. And let's be honest, you're not going to not pick him, so don't cover that guy. One person I wasn't going to pick was Sonny Bill Williams. I'm like, guys, he's not even playing Union at the moment; he's playing League. So, but anyway, so that's a pretty decent. I think. Brosseau was mentioned a few times. Sam Cane will definitely, I think, could possibly be on the bench. Pocock as well. Pocock's been injured. Otherwise, I think it would have been a tough one between him and McCaw. Alberts wasn't in there. Higginbotham got 1 bet and one vote, and Liam Messon got 1 vote.
You see, with McCaw there at the breakdown, I'd go with Higginbotham.
Instead of Reid, I would have Reid at 8.
Instead of Lowe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Lowe's not playing Super Rugby.
I know he's not, but he'll still be able to play. Shut up.
Halfback. Easy.
Yeah.
Sanchez Kenya done next.
Yeah, it was It was actually quite a. It was the most votes I got out of this one.
Who else did they mention?
Well,
don't tell me Sorrel.
Aaron Smith got 1.
No, he's had a cuck season.
Dupree got 1. Hokot got 2. Perinara got 3, and Pienaar got 4.
Mr. Robert Dupree. I mean, is Farid Dupree still alive?
Yeah, he is, but he got a vote. Funny enough, I had to put him in. And Perry Wipu got 1, but Will Genia was the shot, and at 10 was Dan Carter. Strange enough, Quade Cooper 1, and Aaron Cruden 3 out of 12. Mornay Stan 3 out of 12. Bowden Barrett and Carter got a whole bunch. Centres was very hotly contested, I will not lie, but it worked out to Jean de Villiers and Smith, Conrad Smith.
Sick combination.
It is.
But honestly, that could make your car hard.
Well, and then thanks. And then the back three was quite interesting. Habana got a hell of a lot of votes, which I didn't expect. I thought we'd see more of the other guys, but it was Habana, Israel Folau, and Israel Dag, which is pretty decent. I still think I want to see Folau play international football at 15, but looking at the way Dag played the last 3-4 games, this has been sublime.
And he may well, depending on if he sticks around. But
Folau, signed already.
No, I know, but depending on how long he sticks around, it's easier, and you see it. We don't do it enough in this country, but the Kiwis and the Aussies do. They find a talent that they know can play in the back line, and they bring them into Test rugby, playing on the outside backs and on the wings.
And they move him into their position.
Nonu, Sterling Mortlock, James O'Connor, Tana Umanga. Jean de Villiers played a bit of Test rugby at wing with Jake White, but he'd already played centre prior to that.
He played in sevens as well.
Yeah,
scored a try in a World Cup.
So
all in all, I didn't.
It's a pretty sick side.
It's a great side, and I think the important thing and where the biggest dogfight will come will be the rest of the squad and the rest of the bench.
Sorry, and on that, I'm coming back to. I see Richie's a bit sketchy for me, just in terms of did he play the season, will he be around? But then again, so is George Smith. So yeah, I suppose McCaw is the captain, which means Etzebeth makes it into the side because
ahead of Hall.
Yes. Also based on the fact that as good as that loose trio is, there's not a lot of bulk in it.
It's quite interesting to see, and I think the big thing is also having Jean de Villiers, the Springbok captain, McCaw, the Kiwi captain. I think Hall having an Aussie captain on the field as well would also
Conrad Smith, the Hurricanes captain.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the international captains.
Yeah.
And Stephen Moore would definitely be in there. I really do think Stephen Moore would travel. I think it would be Bismarck, Stephen Moore, and possibly someone else. Funny enough, for once the Kiwis don't have a real mean hooker. Who's hooking for them at the moment? Hall. It's no, the Kiwis.
Oh, the Kiwis.
It's
Andrew Horn, Lamu,
yeah.
and Dane Cole.
Yeah, see, I don't rate Dan Cole, but Mialamu and Hall are kind of getting on a bit. So they haven't had great seasons, the Highlanders nor the Blues. But anyway, that was that. It was good fun. I should put a post up soon, and I'll put all the percentages down if I get not if I feel like it. I think if I get to the if I get to have the time. But it was good fun. I look forward to doing one at the end of the year again. I think that'll be fun if we make a Southern Hemisphere Lion side out of the Australia, Kiwi, and South African touring sides for the end of the year too. That'll be good fun.
Indeed.
You always say indeed.
I would be more interested in a Southern Hemisphere Lion side out of the guys playing rugby in the north. Because there's some crackers there too.
And there's a lot of Fijians.
Let's just start a world league.
It's happening.
Awesome, Sharky. I enjoyed that. I did throw my choices into the hat a few times.
You did?
In that debate. That's that for now.
Thank you. Folks, it was absolutely spectacular.
It was indeed. And talk about spectacular. We are going to be relaunching Balls and All next week, Wednesday, with the.
I won't be here. I'll be at the Green.
No, I understand that. with the Premier League starting and European football and Currie Cup and all kinds of things going on, we just figured it's time to get some other sport on. So we'll be on air Wednesdays 6 till 8 here on Loud Radio for Driving More. Hope to catch you then. You've been listening. Sorry, not Driving More, Balls and All. You've been listening to Drive More on Loud Radio. We will chat to you next week. Enjoy the rugby. Come on, Brumbies.
Cheers, bud.